Hello everybody, welcome back to SnowRunner. I'm having to do a special intro because once again I've had a slight issue with OBS. Has missed the first couple of minutes of what I originally recorded. And I don't know why it does that sometimes. I normally start the recording a good 5 minutes before I intend speaking. I don't know, either I missed that step on this one or this time it's truncated more of the video than normal. But anyway. I'm going to splice this in as an intro and hopefully get the continuity, but apologies if the continuity is bad when I pick up the original narrative of the footage as I recorded it. We are in Imandra and I'm taking the YAR 87 to meet up with the tattering, and then the two of them are going to go off and do some scouting together, and hopefully it'll all make sense once you start seeing the original footage and hearing the original narrative. But yeah. If it doesn't make sense, apologies, that's why his OBS has messed up again. .15 turn on the Icy Road. Yeah, the sky's starting to lighten already, so it won't be too long until it's got a bit of daylight. Hope you're all well. Recording this on a Friday, so looking forward to the weekend myself. Hope you've all got good plans. Been having a little bit of a think about what I want to do with the bigger contracts and tasks on this map and for logging. So what vehicle to use. I know there's a couple of vehicles I would like to buy, but funds are okay, but one of the vehicles I want to buy costs more than I've currently got, so I'm either selling vehicles, and I've got a couple in my fleet that I'm quite happy to sell, really, that I don't know that I would use them again, and then I've got a couple where they may be useful. So yeah, little bit of thinking about fleet logistics and which vehicles to keep, which vehicles to sell. Still got a bit of a bee in my bonnet about one of the Pacifics, not the 512 that I mentioned previously. Quite rightly pointed out that would be a bit useless for this map. Alright, okay, so there's one of the POIs coming up. This is the first of the 6 for this particular task. Let's have a look at the map. Yeah, so the Pacific that I am thinking about is the P12, because that is a big truck. Handy that there's fuel in there as well. A big truck that can take a high saddle and can do logging. So yeah, that and it can do chains, race suspension, all-wheel drive, dip lock on, all of the things that you look as on your checklist if you're trying to find a truck for these types of environments. It's a 3-axle, so it can become a 6-wheel drive, fairly big chunky truck. Comments suggesting the Antarctic. That's probably the one that I would like to buy. It's probably the one that there's the least regrets at, and it's most stable because I know it's going to be useful for a Muir. I know it would be useful here. Can't take a high saddle, but it can do logging, long logs, and that might make it a beast, but it cannot take chains unless you use the modded version, which I'm not going to do. So that, yeah, I don't have the lights on, apologies for that. It's a bright sunny day here and I can see, so that doesn't make good video though, does it? I'm driving around in the dark for you guys, sorry for that. Yeah, so the Antarctic could do the long logging and could probably stomp it even without chains. It doesn't care about chains when you got big, I think 71-inch wheels, 73, something like that. Could put the MSH3s on there, which are good mud tyres and would probably perform fine for everywhere that I need to do logging. And like I say, it's a no regrets purchase really, because I know that it would be useful on other maps regardless. Whereas the P12, in theory, looks like it would be useful, but I've never driven one, so I don't know. Right, so we've got a little bit of fuel here, may as well top up. Refuel from the carrier into the Phoenix and into the Yar. The Yar's roof rack and trailer are both full of fuel. I filled up at the logging station. So we've got I think I'll snake around this way. I want to try and find out how to get up to this fuel trailer, and then I'll worry about the crossroads one after. I had a brief look in the tattering at getting up to that fuel trailer at the top of the hill from basically the crossroads-ish area. I don't know how I missed the fact that there was a blue POI there, but some of the terrain up there was a bit difficult to get through in a tattering. So I think I'm going to try this route and see what this south loop around the road looks like. And probably maybe think about doing a scan. Well, really, it is about there that you want to scan. But there's not too many more scans needed on this map. Maybe 3 to complete the map. We're also heading down towards the area where the airplane part recovery task is. So another reason for coming and doing this route is to give me a bit of an idea of that task. So that yellow box that I can just about see in the middle of the top of my screen, I assume that's where I have to take the wide trailer to get that first update. And then is that a bit of an airplane in the water there I can see that I would need the large crane for? It's quite an exciting contract. I thought about doing that one today, but really I need to resolve exactly what I'm going to use as a high saddle truck. So another look. You know what, I'm going to use a scan here. I think I'm just going to do a scan right here. It's 20 litres of fuel, but I think it gives me a good view of this corner of the map. I'm a bit close to the border of the map, which is the only reason I was slightly hesitating. Activate the radar. Right. Okay, riddle of geology. So I think there are 3 tasks in total, maybe 4. I haven't uncovered yet. But that's opened up this corner of the map, so that was a pretty good scan actually. And this riddle of geology is an interesting one. Let's get in and see what that is. And then that does look like there's a road that I could follow up to get the fuel carrier trailer. And then backtrack and maybe leave it in this area temporarily so that I've got fuel for whichever vehicles are coming in to do the airplane recovery. Yeah, it's probably a good shout, isn't it? Well, I've got that little scout fuel carrier. There's a little bit left in that as well. I need to double check there's nothing that needs to be delivered up here that requires fuel. I think fuel is just put up there, but not useful in that location. So it is just a thing to recover and move somewhere more useful. But this T-junction right where I am now seems like a good place. Not sure what's down in that hole. Didn't find anything on the map, did it? Maybe it's just a way through, an alternative route. If I leave the Yar here, I could potentially take the Yar down that route and do the crossroads POI in the Yar and not have to take the Tatra. So I think I'll push on with the Tatra because the Tatra's job is to get the fuel. And now that I've scouted everything all the way up to that point, then the Yar doesn't need to go up there, I don't think. Should be able to get the upgrade. And I think this pile of rocks is another POI for a different contract. So yeah, I'll leave the yard there and push on in the Tatra around this road. See what this task is, and then up. Get that fuel. That's all very icy, but the Yar's tyres will be able to cope with going through there, I think. I'm always nearby if need be. So I think this is, yeah, so this is going to be the place that you got to bring the wide trailer, I'm sure. That box. I am liking this Phoenix a lot. Funnily enough, I've got one of these in my farming simulator save that I've been playing a little bit of lately. There's a mod, because I do use mods quite a lot on farming simulator. I think my farming simulator is a game where mods are almost expected by the devs. So I do have a Tatra Phoenix logging vehicle in farming simulator that's quite fun. Right, okay, so let's tag this. That's a, yeah, this is the one we just found. Nice little camp, isn't it? Talking about farming simulator, that would be a nice little farmyard. Get rid of those stumps. Engine off. What's this task? Riddle of geology. We're camping here for a week, but the supplies clearly won't last as long. Bring us the goods, please. We'll owe you one. Camping somewhere for a week. Start tracking it. And then, so they want something delivered here. Okay, so right, so it's another cargo container. So the same as the cargo container that we brought down to clear the roadblock. They want another Sabre interactive cargo container full of Xboxes preloaded with SnowRunner. Fair enough, don't blame you. Gotta have supplies if you're out camping. So that's not something that I pick up from here. That's a bit of a shame. It would have been nice, although I haven't got a crane on this vehicle anyway, but it would have been nice if that was something that you pick up here and then deliver. But it's another thing. I'll have to do another trip. So maybe I'll use the grad for that. But in the meantime, let's push on. Up on top of the hill, get that fuel. Get those POIs. Let's just grab this one that's on the road. Alright, that's that one. Gotta scout my routes down to this corner from the airfield as well. I'm quite grateful that we haven't got scouting contests on top of this big old hill. I almost expected when I came in and had a look at the Imandra map that they would have you running around like you did in Alaska on top of these mountains and fighting your way through trees and things. This contests. I'm glad they didn't do that. Right. So POI. I'm fine for fuel for a minute, so I won't actually pick it up. I'll just tag it. But that one is mine now. Thank you for that. Then there's an upgrade, so I'll carry on around the road and grab that upgrade. But there is somewhere here. That one. So there is another POI next to that megalith. I think the other megalith was over here and I got it without even really noticing what I was doing. It's one of the ones that I just tagged in a scout as I was driving past, but didn't have the quest active, so I wasn't sure which one it is. So I'm just leaving that active so I can get that megaliths update. Because as far as I'm aware, there's no other reason to come back up here then. What a view though, eh? Stunning view. So I just want to grab an upgrade, and then I think I'll take this fuel back down at least to that little camp area. I'm trying to stick to the thing that's marked as a road because the snow isn't quite so deep. I can't remember what this upgrade is, so presumably it's not massively important to me. Just tag where it is so that I know what I'm aiming for. I can see the car now that I've tagged it. You know, the raised suspension, so it's important to something. Ah, it's the Warthog. Okay, fair enough. I don't think I'll keep the Warthog. It's not worth a lot of money, so I don't gain a lot from selling it. But even if all I do is like sell it and it finances a winch for one of my new trucks that I'll end up buying, then I think it's a better use of the money than keeping a Warthog in my stable. From what I've seen, I don't think it's got any particular niche skill that it can fill for me. And I don't think then that there's any other reason to come back up here. Let me just have a quick. Unless there's this keepsake, I haven't tagged that yet. And I've also Old Lighthouse. So Old Lighthouse obviously makes sense that that's a visit to this place. I don't think there's anything going to ask me to come up on top of this specific hill. So I'm going to hook up to the fuel trailer and drag it down to this geology camp at least. And leave the Phoenix there probably until the grad has brought in the Sabre Interactive container. Been eyeing this fuel up since I first came in and ran the radar trailer in at the gateway of this map. This is one of the first things I found, but it's really difficult to get up to from that side of the map. Little bit of lateral movement using the winch. Gets past that rock and those trees. Yeah, I'm liking this Tatra a lot. And then I'm going to leave it there. At least until the grad comes in with the delivery. So now we're going to hop back over into the Yar and get that final update for the aftermath, which is, I'm going to chance it down through there. I think the R can handle that type of terrain. Push on to this crossroads. And probably push all the way down to Keepsake and find out what that is as well. Also, all-wheel drive. We don't have chains. This may be a bad idea. Yeah, okay. That is an ice ascent, isn't it? Yeah, change up plan. I just remembered that I took the chains off and put these balloon mud tires on, which are very, very useful, and it was the right thing to do. I'm glad I didn't. Well, the Tattler is close enough to come and get me, but I think I would have needed dragging out if I'd have gone into that dip there. Well, I'll go around the slightly longer way. We can do everything except ice, basically, with this vehicle. So let's clear that route. And we're going to go back to the village and across that route instead. Safer. I'm glad I spotted that. These big old balloon tyres are brilliant for everything except sheet ice. So I'm keeping my ANK, just talking about trucks a little bit while I drive. I'm keeping my ANK civilian, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to just sell the regular Mark 38. It doesn't have enough flexibility. I can't take the sideboard bed off and do anything else with it. It's a sideboard bed only, no crane option. I've got the Tatra Phoenix now that basically is the same but more versatile in that it can do at least high saddle and a couple other things with a crane. So it's got a bit more versatility. So I don't think the ANK Mark 38 normal version adds anything to the fleet that I haven't got a better version of in another vehicle. So I'm pretty sure that one will go. The Derry Longhorn got the number of it, but the version that I got in Alaska was a free truck. I felt was a pretty capable high saddle vehicle in Alaska. So I have considered bringing that here for the high saddle job of recovering that airplane. So I might still do that because I didn't have any issues with that vehicle. Its turning circle's a bit big, but for a high saddle big trailer I'm not worried about that really. Its pulling power and its stability and its ice chains were all pretty good. I remember its fuel efficiency being fairly good. So that's a candidate that I might bring. I don't know that I would keep the Dan. I don't know that I would need both of them, the Derry and the Dan. So yeah, I suspect I'll sell one of those. Pretty sure I'm going to sell the Warthog. And if I sold the ANK Mark 38 and the Warthog, I would be able to buy an Antarctic and then use the Antarctic for long logs. So I might do that and then reserve judgment on the heavies until I've thought about high saddle. The comment that the ANK civilian is perfectly capable of doing the high saddle work on this map. It's a good truck, so maybe I will do that, but maybe I'll bring the Derry instead for something different. I'm not sure. I don't have too much else in the stable that I would sell right now, I don't think. I thought at one point that you got the Antarctic for free in the Don map where I went to recover the Tatra Phoenix, because you have to recover Antarctic, and I kind of misread it as being okay, we'll get one of those for free. That's brilliant, because it's 140,000 to buy it, then that's without any upgrades that you want to do. It's quite an expensive purchase. Would pretty much clean out my money. Right, there we go. So the road is passable. Well, thanks. $4,300. Thank you very much for the dollars. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, pretty good. So, shall I scan here? So I kind of, there's a fog of war area there, and that's probably the 2 points I would like to scan. I think everything else I've opened up enough to be confident. You know, the little corners I'm not worried about. Maybe there would be a good place to scan, and then somehow get over here. But I don't know if that road is useful at all. So I'm going to push forward a bit. I'd like to get to the keepsake task in the yard, just so I know what it is. Is this ice or is this breakable stuff? Be careful. There's plenty of tree roots and things to pull yourself off, so it's not, I'm not quite Leroy in it, but I just want to be careful that this doesn't look like solid. Just get a winch onto one of those. That'll pull my nose enough to get me moving in the right direction. This looks like a pond with some thin ice rather than good solid road ice. Yeah, that's breaking underneath as I go. Yeah, don't trust that ice. We got past it though. And I guess once you've done the last scan with this trailer, it's a case of take the fuel out of it and take whatever fuel's left out of it and leave it in the wilderness. Because it's got no use then, is it? You can't take it to the next zone with you. Is this a place to scan? That's not too bad right where I am, is it? Yeah, I'm going to scan here. Radar. I don't expect to find anything new. It'll just get rid of some of the fog of war. Right. So we look at the map. Yeah, it didn't expose anything new, as expected. Right, I'm going to push on and find out what this keepsake is. Interesting little descent. It's not icy though, so I should be alright. There you go. Pretty much let it freewheel down there. Of course, if I'm going to buy an Antarctic for long logging, I also have to factor in 14,000 for a trailer. Bit harsh. Seems a bit odd that I can move trucks between regions for a fee, but when I'm shipping a truck, I can't just put a trailer in the same container box. That's an interesting little encampment. What's that then? Is that a little small holding? Looks like a plot of, like an allotment plot in the middle. Right. Engine off. Let's tag this and see what it is. Got a peculiar customer. They're all peculiar, mate. He wants to have a memento from a destroyer. So that'll be that ship. We just so happen to have one moored nearby. I don't think moored is the right word. I think beached is a better word. Can you bring one? I'll make it worth your while. If it's the ship I'm thinking of, it's definitely not moored, mate. But yeah, I will. $4,800. Let's have a quick look. In the tracking. Yeah, it's a ship that I've been admiring from a distance, but not driven to. But that makes sense. And I never bothered going out there to scan it because I could see the ship, but there was obviously nothing there to drive around because it's just water around it. Okay, I'm going to get the tattering. It's almost empty, so let's just shift the fuel from its roof rack into the vehicle. Bearing in mind, I've got to remember now that I've got an empty roof rack. Lights on. There's a fuel tray. There's a Scout flatbed around here that needs dragging out, and I'm just going to take it off the hill and put it down somewhere a bit more accessible. It's a little one-slot job. It needs to be towed to the gateway, but I'm not doing that right now. I'm just getting it out of here. I'm going to come down here with this trailer, around to here, leave the trailer there, and do this troublesome motor. And then I can bring the fuel carrier back down, grab a trailer. So I want to get around, I want to get onto the other side of this broken stuff. So if I hug left, is this going to be passable? Yeah. Right, so we should be on good ice now. So we already moved this TUS 166 out of its danger zone and put it in a little village. We're now going to go and pick it up. A trailer flying around a little bit. Good job you can't damage trailers. So I'll leave it there and then I'll go and get the TUS 166. Shame I haven't got a crane to put it on the trailer really. Right, how do you get... There must be a way up to this from this side. This little village. Out of interest, has it got any fuel in it? A little bit. Let's slurp that up, and then because we won't need its engine to recover it. Tattering is more than capable of dragging it to where it's got to go, which is across here, over to there. Pretty sure the tattering can make that climb without snow chains. Get this one delivered. Be a nice thing to tick off because it's a relatively simple task, but it's on the wrong side of the map for a lot of my vehicles. And getting it done will free up the tattering to go off and do other scouting in other parts of the map. Shame I can't rope two things at once. I would take that little trailer with me. I do feel a bit bad returning it to him with no fuel in it at all. I don't know if I don't think the 10% fuel rule works for vehicle recovery. I think that's only for fuel carrier recovery. Not been in a tattering for a few episodes. Always fun to drive. So I think this will be episode 21, and I'm expecting there to be maybe 10 more episodes. Might not be that many, but there's some pretty long, complicated multi-episode things left to do still. So I wouldn't be surprised if it ended up being 10. This thing's savage. Let's face it, they don't need fuel. I'm basically delivering a whole load of scrap metal to them, to be honest. So they don't need me to give them any fuel back. Knocked over a beehive. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Oops. Good job. My darling is almost unscathed. You're having a laugh, aren't you, mate? I'll try to drive carefully from now on. I'll do your deal, so will I. $2,500 for that recovery. Engine off. That puts our money up to 123, nearly 124,000. So the tattering is going to go down and grab this scout fuel carrier, which may be useful on the road for logging purposes, but I just want to bring it a little bit closer to the logging station, I think. Okay, so apologies for the beehive and the state of your vehicle, but I am going to push on. I think what I'll do is get the tattering down to that fuel carrier, partly because it needs fuel. So back down the same way I just came up. Hook her up. Let's grab some fuel out of it. There we go. So the tattering is now fully fueled. We're not going to move it far. We're just going to pull this back down onto a kind of crossroadsy bit where it may or may not be more useful in its current location, but at least it's moved a bit. I wonder what that was then, but can you see the eyes to the left? Yeah. I thought that might have been like a marching ant's yellow box, but no, it's little wolf eyes or some kind of creature eyes staring at me from the monolith. Megalith? Right, so this is a little T-junction where I may be coming up through here with logs. So I'll leave it off the road a bit. Ish. No, I won't. I'll just leave it where it is. And if it's in the way, whoever's driving past can move it. And now I'm going to go and get that trailer that we started moving just now. Stuck on a branch. Spider-Man branch. Because there are two tasks, I think, that I haven't yet tagged, and I want to get them tagged. And if I've got time, I'll do it in this episode. Because I think there's some scouting stuff that the tattering can sort of sweep up. So my thinking is if I get this tattering back to the gateway, probably tracing this ice path all the way around to the airport and then down and do this delivery, then I can pick up the upgrade and the two tasks that I haven't yet tagged, and then the tattering can go anti-clockwise around the map doing scouting stuff as it goes and end up at the garage to do the last sort of scouting and recovery vehicle stuff up in that area. It's a good use for the tattering. Not sure whether I'll get that done in this episode, but I'm just going to give it a go. So probably try and get up to this road and work my way along with this trailer on a rope. See about getting up to the airfield from that side. And I'm not sure that I'll get all that way in this episode. We'll just have to see. kind of feels like the long way around the map, but there is stuff to do in that direction, and this is the best scout for the job. Should be picking up a road quite soon, I hope. That was my intent. I didn't expect to come into these trees. There's the road through there, look. Get through here and hang a left, and then we're on the trail that I was trying to get to. And probably time lapse this to the end to try and get it in the episode if I can. Would be pretty interesting to try some of this terrain not frozen. Like come if the game had a mode where you came here in the summer months and all of the ice was gone and you had to use different trails because you didn't have ice roads to rely on. Right, took out a wheel there. Suspension's pretty damaged and I've got no repair points left, but I have got 2 more spare wheels. Challenging terrain for the... Oh, hello. 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 Calm down. Trying to get high enough to grab one of those trees. There we go. Got a tree. Challenging terrain for this truck. Kind of want to get that if my handbrake will hold me, which it shouldn't, but no, it doesn't. Right, okay. We need another route. So we need to get... Nope. If I'd have been quicker with a winch, I'd have got across that, but no, I was a little bit slow. And I said as I drove into it, it was challenging terrain, but I just got the winch on the wrong bit. I should have let go of the trailer quicker and got the winch onto that tree before I started sliding. There's always an alternate route for the tattering though. I think it's this way. Oh no, I've done another wheel. Oh no, I haven't. That's amazing. I've just taken a chunk off the wheel that I've just repaired because all the other ones on that side are close enough that that amount of damage would have broken it. Right, so what I want to try and work out as we pass the Yar is whether there's now a route for me to get to the airfield through here. Because I might want to do that in reverse for some of the logging. Depends on how dense these trees are though, doesn't it? The terrain looks alright. But actually, yeah, that was okay. That's me safely back to the airport. Don't remember exactly where I go through the fence here to get down onto the lake, but it's got to be about here somewhere, isn't it? Just ignore the trailer on the back. I am. Get rid of the waypoint. Check, get the right task, because I'm going to do this delivery now. Oh, scrap metal. It's pretty scrap metal time I finish with it, mate. It's a nice chunk of cash, so it helps with any efforts that I have to buy vehicles and upgrades. Get this delivery done, and then that'll be the end of the episode, I think. but it primes the tattering in the right corner to then do some good stuff in the start of the next episode. Makes the most sense. Yeah, we'll continue this journey in the next episode. The tattering will work around the map and get a lot of the scouting stuff done, if not all of it. And then after that, we'll have a little bit of money that hopefully will let me buy an Antarctic without bankrupting myself. And then the Antarctic for logging will just, well, it'll be fun because it's a bloody big truck. So it'll be a fun thing to do, but I think it'll also be very effective, even though it doesn't have chains options. There we go, delivery. That's a good, it was an empty trailer, mate, but oh, scrap metal. That trailer can't be worth that much as scrap metal, can it? That's a good haul. I'll send them to the city, then we share the spoils. And he paid me $6.5 grand to bring that scrap metal to him. Bloody hell. I'll work for him again. He's a mug. So yeah, next episode I will bring the tattering around, grab this upgrade, if I can get up there. It might be a bit icy, but grab that upgrade. Grab these 2 tasks that I haven't yet tagged. The lighthouse one I'm sure is just a scouting one, but forecast for tomorrow I have no idea what that is. And then the tattering will run its way around the airport and meet up with the loaf, complete that task, come up on top of this because there's a POI up there to get, and then just basically anti-clockwise around the map and end up at the garage with hopefully scouting complete. Getting stuff done. Feels good. So I am going to leave this episode here. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for making it to the end. I will continue, as I've said, with scouting in the next episode. So I hope to see you in that episode. In the meantime, thank you very much and goodbye.